Assalamualaikum. My name is Roslinda binti Abdul Majid. My student ID is 2022547931, and with my partner Nadiah binti Abdul Jalil, student ID is 2022158821. We both we present about identify 4 reasons for nationalism as proposed by Smith 1971. Nationalism is a political, social, and cultural ideology that emphasizes the interests and identity of a particular nation or group of people, often in relation to self-determination, sovereignty, and pride in cultural heritage. Is both an ideology and a movement aimed at uniting a group of people with shared history, language, or culture under the concept of nation-state. Smith identifies several key reasons for the rise of nationalism: the role of ethnic identify and share history, the desire to assert uniqueness, responses to political oppression and loss of sovereignty, and the influence of socio-economic modernization. He stresses that why nationalism can be driven by historical experience and cultural bonds. It also adapts to the political and economic context of modernity. For industrialization and urbanization, industrialization in the 18th and 19th centuries transformed societies by creating large-scale industry and urban centers. As people move from rural area to city for work, they become more interconnected and aware of shared economic interests and cultural practice. This urban environment fosters in communications and organization, key to the growth of nationalist movement. And for example, in Britain, industrialization led to improved transportation network like railways, which connected distant regions, enabling the spread of ideas and fostering a sense of national unity. Colonialism and imperialism, the expansion of European empires during the 17th to 19th centuries, created interactions between colonizer and colonized populations. While imperial powers used nationalism to justify their dominance, colonized nations began to develop their own nationalist sentiments as a response to oppressions. Nationalism emerged as a way for colonized people to resist foreign control and assert their identity. For example, in India, British colonial policies such as the imposition of English education and economic exploitation eventually united diverse communities under a shared sense of injustice, culminating in the Indian independence movement led by figures like Mahatma Gandhi. Influence of education system. The establishment of standardized education system promote literacy, common language, and national history, fostering a shared identity. School become crucial in inculcating nationalist ideals by teaching about the nation's past, heroes, and culture's value. This created a unified sense of belonging and loyalty among citizens. For example, the French government used public education after the French Revolution to teach republican values and instill a sense of French national identity, particularly through lessons in French history and culture. Similarly, in Meiji Japan, education was used to instill loyalty to the emperor and the idea of a unified Japanese nation. Spread of democratic ideals. The Enlightenment and subsequent political revolution in the 18th and 19th centuries, for example, the American and French revolutions, emphasized ideas like popular sovereignty, equality, and liberty. This idea gave people a sense of empowerment and the belief that they should have control over their governance, fostering nationalist aspirations. Democratic principle often united people under the banner of self-determination and national unity. And for example, the French Revolution 1789 replaced elegance, ethnic identity and shared history. Smith emphasized that ethnic identity and shared history are fundamental to the development of nationalism. Nations often emerge from ethnic communities that share a common ancestry, language, religion, and cultural traditions. Historical narrative, whether real or mythologized, create a sense of unity and pride among members of the group. Uniqueness nationalism often arises from the desire to assert the uniqueness of a community. Nations emphasize their distinct cultural, linguistic, or historical characteristics to differentiate themselves from others. This sense of uniqueness fosters pride and reinforces the idea of self-determination. For example, the Romantic nationalism of 19th century Europe, particularly in Germany, celebrate unique cultural achievements like folklore, music, and literature as a way of distinguishing the German people from other nations. Social and economic modernization refers to the process where society transitions from agrarian economies to industrial and urbanized systems. This shift encourage economic growth, improve infrastructure, and formation of national markets, helping to build a shared identity and unity among people. It often leads to greater political centralizations and promote nationalism as citizens begin to see themselves as part of cohesive nations. For example, the Meiji Restoration in Japan modernized the economy and unified the country, fostering a sense of national pride and identity. For political oppression and loss of sovereignty occurs when a group is dominated or controlled by an external power, leading to a loss of political autonomy. Nationalism often arises a response to this oppression, with the oppressed group seeking to regain control and assert their sovereignty. The shared experience of political subjugation strengthens the collective identity and drives the desire for independence. And for example, the Indian independence movement arose due to British colonial operation. The Irish nationalist movement similarly grew out of resistance to British rule.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nadiah binti Abdul Jalil. ID number is 2022158821. Here is the some important nationalism by Anthony D. Smith. Okay, Anthony D. Smith's perspective on the importance of nationalism revolves around its role in creating and sustaining collective identity, shaping political structure, and fostering a sense of belonging. Nationalism is a source of identity. There is misargued that nationalism helps individuals locate themselves within a larger social and historical framework. By emphasizing shared heritage, culture, language, and myths, nationalism fosters a collective identity and unites people. Okay, the next is motivation for development. There is nationalism serves as motivational force that drive nation towards progress, modernization, and economic development. It encourages citizens to work collective for the nation betterment. And then tension between civic and ethnic nationalism. Smith differentiates between civic nationalism based on shared political value and citizenship, and ethnic nationalism based on a common ancestry and culture. Both forms, he argued, have played pivotal role in shaping modern political landscape. Okay, the next is motivation for development. There is nationalism serves as motivational force that drive nation towards progress, modernization and economic development. It encourages citizens to work collective for the nation betterment. And then tension between civic and ethnic nationalism. Smith differentiates between civic nationalism based on shared political value and citizenship, and ethnic nationalism based on a common ancestry and culture. Both forms, he argued, have played pivotal role in shaping modern political landscape.
And conclusion on nationalism by Anthony D. Smith. Perspective on nationalism is rooted in his ethno-symbolic theory, which emphasized that nationalism is not merely a modern construct but is deeply connected to historical, cultural, and ethnic roots. Nationalism, according to Smith, emerged from pre-existing ethnic communities that share common myths, memories, symbols, and traditions. These elements form the basis of national identity, which is then transformed by modern political and social force. Smith identifies several key reasons for the rise of nationalism: the role of ethnic identify and share history, the desire to assert uniqueness, responses to political oppression and loss of sovereignty, and the influence of socio-economic modernization. He stresses that why nationalism can be driven by historical experience and cultural bonds, it also adapts to the political and economic context of modernity.